Listen closely because you need to fully grasp the situation unfolding between China and Taiwan at this very moment. Foreign Affairs just released a report titled "A Perfect Storm for Taiwan in 2026." And this is not just a catchy headline. It turns out that 41% of top China experts believe the likelihood of a war over Taiwan has spiked significantly compared to last year. The reason isn't a sudden upgrade in Chinese military tech. It isn't because Taiwan did something reckless. It is because Beijing is calculating that Donald Trump will not lift a finger to save the island, and their calculation might be dead on. Trump has refused to commit to an intervention. His updated national security strategy labels Taiwan as vital for its microchips, but stops short of promising defense. He even launched a military operation to capture the president of Venezuela to demonstrate that his eyes are fixed on the Western Hemisphere. China is watching every move and realizing this is their opening. This is the window of opportunity. They may never face an American president this disinterested in Taiwan again. So the question isn't if China will make a move. The question is when that move happens, and whether the United States will do anything about it. Visualize the scene. It is December 30th, 2025. The Taiwan Strait. Chinese warships start to encircle the island in what Beijing claims are routine drills. But these aren't standard maneuvers. The People's Liberation Army Navy pushes out over 60 vessels. They establish a blockade formation that rings the entire island. Fighter jets are running simulated bombing runs. Submarines are surfacing in international waters to flex their muscles. They call this exercise Joint Sword 2025, and its true purpose is to rehearse cutting Taiwan off from the rest of the planet, stopping supplies, stopping allies, and Taiwan's military can only watch because they are powerless to stop it. They have 4 destroyers against China's 30. Their air force has fewer than 400 combat planes against China's 2,000. The math is brutal. Without American firepower, Taiwan falls, and everyone knows it. I'm Herrick McCain. Welcome to Firepoint. If you want the hard truths about the crisis brewing in the Pacific, subscribe to this channel right now, because the breakdown I am about to give you goes beyond military stats. It dives into the mindset of China's leadership, why they view 2026 as the golden hour to seize Taiwan, and why the United States might just let it happen. Hit that subscribe button because this is the single most dangerous flashpoint on the map. Let's get to the reality of the situation. The news cycle is obsessed with military drills and weapons sales. The U.S. just greenlit an $11 billion package for Taiwan, 82 HIMARS units, 420 short-range ballistic missiles, high-end air defenses. On paper, it looks like America is digging in. But that is an illusion. The reality is that Washington is arming Taiwan just enough to make an invasion painful for China, but not enough to defeat it. And they are certainly not promising to put American boots on the ground. That is the real story. America is hedging its bets, and Beijing sees right through it. If you don't know the backstory, you need to understand the history. The split happened in 1949 after the Chinese Civil War. The Communists took the mainland. The Nationalists retreated to Taiwan. For decades, both claimed to own all of China. But time changed everything. Taiwan built a vibrant democracy and a unique identity. Most young Taiwanese people do not see themselves as Chinese. They are Taiwanese, and that terrifies the Communist Party, because a free, prosperous, democratic Taiwan proves that there is an alternative to their rule. The party cannot tolerate that. They have always insisted on reunification, by peace or by force. Under Xi Jinping, the rhetoric became a deadline. He ordered his military to be ready to invade by 2027. U.S. intelligence verified it. That deadline is next year. Here is why 2025 changed the calculus. First, Donald Trump returned to the White House. Unlike Biden, who was vocal about defending Taiwan, Trump is silent. When asked point-blank in February 2025 if he would stop a Chinese invasion, he said, "I don't want to comment on that." He calls it strategic ambiguity. China calls it a green light. They see a leader who cares about tariffs, not treaties. Second, Trump's 2025 national security strategy shifted the language. It calls Taiwan strategically vital due to its geography and semiconductor industry. That sounds supportive, but it is transactional. It implies Taiwan matters because of what it makes, not what it is. China interprets this to mean America will fight for the chip factories, but not for the island's sovereignty. Third, look at the Venezuela operation in January 2026. Trump sent special forces into Caracas, bombed military sites, and extracted Nicolás Maduro to face trial in New York. It was a massive display of force, but the message it sent to Beijing was that Trump is focused on his own backyard. If he is willing to invade a country in the Americas for political points, why would he risk World War III over an island on the other side of the globe? It doesn't add up. Chinese strategists are increasingly betting that Trump will stay out of the fight. Or, if he acts, it will just be sanctions and angry letters, not aircraft carriers. Fourth, look at Taiwan's internal politics. President William Lai is struggling with a 40% approval rating. The opposition party, the KMT, is blocking defense spending and pushing for closer ties with China. The legislature is trying to impeach the president. Taiwan looks weak and fractured. China sees a house divided. If they strike fast, the government might collapse before Washington can even wake up. And fifth, China is under pressure. The Ukraine war proved invasions are messy. China's economy is slowing down. Youth unemployment is soaring. The property market has crashed. Xi needs a distraction. He needs a unifying victory. Taking Taiwan cements his legacy as the man who made China whole again. He has every reason to roll the dice. But the Foreign Affairs report highlights the most critical factor: the window of opportunity. China isn't just looking at troop counts. They are looking at the calendar. They see a 3-year window, Trump's current term. After that, anything could happen. A hawk could win in 2028. A Democrat could return to the old alliances. Or Trump's policies could backfire so hard the next president overcompensates with aggression. China deals in certainty, and right now they have a president who is transactional and distracted. They might never get this luck again. So the target is 2026 to 2028, and 2026 is the sweet spot, before Trump solidifies a policy, before Taiwan integrates those new missiles, before Japan and South Korea figure out their next move. Strike while the iron is hot. Some analysts claim China isn't ready. They argue the PLA lacks the ships for a D-Day-style landing. They say moving hundreds of thousands of troops across a strait under fire is impossible. They say occupying a hostile island is a nightmare. They claim Xi knows the risks and prefers peace, but that analysis assumes one big thing: that the United States fights back. If American submarines start sinking Chinese transports, if U.S. jets control the sky, then yes, China loses. But what if the U.S. sits it out? What if Trump calls it a civil dispute? Then the math flips. China has 2 million troops. Taiwan has 170,000. China spends $247 billion on defense. Taiwan spends $31 billion. China has 2,000 jets. Taiwan has 400. Without Uncle Sam, it is a slaughter. Here is the playbook for a Chinese victory without U.S. intervention. Step 1. A massive cyber blitz. Kill the power grid, the internet, and the financial system. Blind the island. Step 2. Missile rain. Thousands of cruise missiles slam into airfields, ports, and command bunkers. Decapitate the leadership. Step 3. The blockade. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. Taiwan runs out of fuel and food in weeks. Step 4. The landing. Troops hit the beaches. Taiwan's army fights bravely but is overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Step 5. The offer. surrender and live, or fight and watch Taipei burn. Most war games show Taiwan lasting a few weeks, maybe 2 months, but once the ammo runs dry, it is over. So what comes next? Watch Trump's moves in Asia. If he visits Beijing in 2026 and talks about a grand bargain, that is bad news for Taiwan. It means he views China as a business partner, not a rival. Watch his cabinet. If the Defense Secretary or Secretary of State start using soft language like encouraging peaceful resolution, it signals that the military option is off the table. And watch the Chinese drills. If they start practicing with landing craft and live fire, they are rehearsing the invasion. In the medium term, the next year is the danger zone. China will test the waters. They might seize a small outlying island like Kinmen or Matsu. If the U.S. ignores it, they know the coast is clear. Then they might try a partial blockade. If the U.S. does nothing, they go for the full stranglehold. Each non-response from Trump is another green light. My assessment: China will make a move. Maybe not a full invasion in 2026, but kinetic action is coming. Xi has staked his reputation on this. He cannot back down now, and he views Trump as his best chance. He will probe, he will push, and if he meets no resistance, he will take it all. The only deterrent is a clear U.S. commitment. But Trump doesn't do clear. He does ambiguous, and ambiguity breeds war. The best case scenario: Trump wakes up to the reality that losing Taiwan is a catastrophe. Not just for the chips, though TSMC makes 90% of the advanced ones, but for American power. If China takes Taiwan, every ally in Asia realizes American guarantees are worthless. The alliance system crumbles. Trump realizes this, draws a red line, and deploys forces. China backs off. War is averted. But that requires Trump to care about the global order, which isn't his style. The middle case: Trump tries to play both sides. He sells weapons but refuses to commit. China sees this as permission for a limited operation. They choke off the island. Trump sanctions them but sends no ships. Taiwan's economy implodes. Morale breaks. The government negotiates a surrender to avoid destruction. It isn't a war, it is a slow death. The worst-case scenario: full invasion, cyber war, missiles, blockade, landing. Trump stays out. Europe condemns it, but does nothing. Japan is paralyzed. Taiwan fights alone and falls in 6 weeks. The global economy crashes as chip production halts. China arrests the dissidents and imposes total control. The world watches a democracy die because no one was willing to save it. The precedent is set. Might makes right. Watch for these indicators. Is Taiwan running civil defense drills? That means they know it is coming. Is TSMC rushing to move factories to Arizona and Japan? That means they are betting against Taiwan's survival. Are Chinese diplomats being recalled to Beijing? That is a sign of impending conflict. And most importantly, are U.S. carriers moving toward Taiwan? If they stay in port, China moves. This is bigger than one island. It is about the future of the world. If democracies can be conquered by force while the superpowers watch, the rules-based order is dead. The 21st century becomes the Chinese century. Trade, tech, human rights, all rewritten by Beijing. History will look back at this moment. This is when America decided what it wanted to be: a superpower that upholds the line, or a regional power that retreated to its own hemisphere. There is no middle ground. If the U.S. abandons Taiwan, the alliance network that won the Cold War dissolves. Poland, South Korea, Japan, they all start making their own deals with the dictators. This isn't about morality. It is about cold strategy. Does America benefit from a world where China writes the rules? No. America's power is built on its alliances and its credibility. Lose Taiwan, and you lose that. Trump has to decide if he is a strategist or just a deal maker. If he treats Taiwan as a bargaining chip, China wins. If he sees it as a pillar of American power, he might just prevent a war. But the commitment must be real. If this breakdown helped you see why 2026 is the danger year for Taiwan, smash that like button and subscribe to Firepoint. Trump is heading to China this year. Xi is weighing his options. And Taiwan is holding its breath. Let me know in the comments. Will China pull the trigger in 2026? Or is it all just noise? I'm Herrick McCain, and I'll see you in the next video.